Do you think that if he ended up with the Jets, that he could be this year's Sam Darnold?
Well, you hit it right on the head, Joe. You said if he lands in the right spot, and historically, have the Jets been the right spot for any quarterback? No.
Well, for Ryan Fitzpatrick, that one random year where they were almost in the playoffs.
First of all, that wasn't even a random year. That was like a random good 9 weeks that he had with a stable Brandon Marshall. Dynamic duo. And then going back, who's the next best since? Mark Sanchez, over 10 years ago. They haven't.
Which he wasn't really that good. That defense was just so good, and he was there.
If they wanted a dual threat quarterback, well, why don't they draft one at 2 with a guy from a big arm from BYU? Oh, they did it. It didn't work. And Justin Fields, you know what? It's time. It's time for you to figure it out. Pittsburgh, I think, is his best option. It
doesn't seem like that there's much
they were winning games with
interest between the two. But if they already turned away from him and went to Russell Wilson, what does that say? I feel like that's an indicator that there's not going to be a reunion there. Like, I feel like he's going to be moving on elsewhere. He's going to be jumping to the next opportunity because Pittsburgh clearly wasn't going to give him the chance that he deserved. Well, so he sat the whole year. He got to learn. He needs to go somewhere else. It's not Pittsburgh.
I think he should try to stay there as a backup and say, maybe if somebody in front of me goes down, here's my shot. It's the best situation I'm going to have. Teams that need quarterbacks with the offensive lines. No, he's getting sent to the Wolves if he goes to New York. Go ahead. You got Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and then maybe if Devontae Adams stays, you could have some options.
Probably not.
He's probably not. They don't make it work in New York.
I would argue, historically, yes. Quarterback success has been awful with the New York Giants, Jets. Geez, I'm off on one today.
They both work.
Right. Historically, they've been awful.
Yeah.
They have not had any success. The last really good quarterback that the Jets have had is Joe Namath. Is that how far back we're going to have to go to actually talk about a consistent starter who was there for a long period of time? This upcoming year, we can't allow the past to disrupt what they could accomplish in 2025. Their offensive line is decent. You have Olu Fashanu, who was starting to play more towards the end of the season. You have Elijah Vera Tucker, who you drafted a couple of years ago, who's a good starting guard.
Yeah.
Where they currently sit in the top 10, they could draft Kelvin Meggs, Josh Simmons, Will Campbell, somebody to just boost their offensive line. So you've got 3 good starting offensive linemen. That is way better than what most NFL teams can say that they have. You have a really good starting running back in Breece Hall. You plug in Justin Fields with Garrett Wilson, who is a great young receiver, his former teammate as well. I think that this is a better situation than you're giving it credit for. Forget how shit that they were for so long ago and for the entirety existence of the New York Jets. This upcoming year with Aaron Glenn leading that defense, it's got some seriously just freakish dudes on the defensive side of the ball. They could be a wild card team. Put Justin Fields in there, and he could realistically be this year's Sam Darnold. I think out of anybody, he's the guy.
I'm going to have to start being fair and hold myself to the standard when talking about quarterbacks, even if I like them. Also, Nathan Wool, ball knower, Chad Pennington. Yeah, he got a raw deal in New York, and he went to Miami and balled out and got booted. It is what it is. Justin Fields has not shown enough. And honestly, if you got beat out in Pittsburgh by Russell Wilson, that's damning for him. That is not a good look, and it's unfortunate because he looks like Superman on the field. But and when he's on, it's great. When he's off, offense stalls, goes nowhere. So I have to say he had his shot this year. He had Russell Wilson down with injury. Justin, go ahead, win us some games. Maybe he didn't do enough. I thought he could have kept the starting gig, and then Russell Wilson comes in, has 3 straight 30-point performances with Pittsburgh, and Fields gets ousted for some reason. I think it's there, but he had an opportunity to really solidify himself as that number 1 quarterback with all the weapons in Pittsburgh, and he did not.
Wait. Wait a second. What weapons? With all the weapons in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
They don't. George Pickens and who?
Freiermuth.
Oh, no. Don't act like Pat Freiermuth is some sort of premier tight end in the NFL.
He has a decent running back and a good running back in Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. He has a running game. He has a good offensive line and a great defense and a good coach.
I would argue that the Pittsburgh Steelers this past year had one of the worst. They had one of the worst offensive arsenals in the AFC. That was literally what cost them the game against the Ravens in the playoffs. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't generate any big splash plays. The minute that George Pickens started becoming George Pickens again and getting all frustrated and making silly, outrageous mistakes in games, that was when they started to go backwards. So if he's not playing as good as he could, that offense is a shit show. I don't think that it is reflective on Justin Fields that he didn't get onto the field. I think that was something that they were forced into because they brought in Russell Wilson and, whatever relationship dynamic that was happening there, that they had to start him for the rest of the season.
They had the out, though. Wilson was already hurt. He was hurt before week 1. It was all shaping up. Sorry, Russell. Justin's winning us games. You're going to have to just chill out until he starts losing us games. And I honestly don't think he did enough to lose Pittsburgh a bunch of games. I thought he was doing fine at quarterback and probably earned himself 2 more starts, in my opinion. But I'm not the NFL head coach, and they're in the meeting rooms. They know a little bit better, I'd say, than I do about whether or not Justin Fields has the juice to lead that offense. And it seemed like he didn't. And also, if we're talking about weapons, Justin Fields is supposed to be a dual weapon, passer and a runner. And he's very good at running also.
Yes. So you're saying that makes up for the fact that Pittsburgh's receiving core is awful?
Come on. They brought in Mike Williams, stud. Van Jefferson, got to put some respect on him.
Awful.
Falcons legend. Calvin Austin III.
Hasn't done anything.
That's rough. And Roman Wilson. Tough.
Quite literally did not do anything.
Didn't do anything.
You didn't directly answer, though, what I was asking here. So there's 2 questions I now pose for you before we move on to our next topic. Are you completely just saying no to the Jets? Like if there is another team that you think he could resurrect his career and be a great starter for, what's that team?
Oh, God. That's a great one. I mean, if I'm working through it top of my mind, yes, the Jets do have a good amount of weapons compared to the other destitute teams that are needing a quarterback. Saints, maybe a little bit. No, Saints are worse than the Jets.
I wouldn't sign up for the Saints. I don't think that the Raiders' offensive line is very good. I wouldn't sign up for that if I was him.
Browns are a mess.
Browns, I wouldn't show up for that. That's a complete and utter shit show. Maybe the Titans. That's the only situation.
Colts need a quarterback.
Okay, now you're just being a dick.
How?
That didn't need to be brought up. Anthony Richardson didn't need to be brought up on this show. You didn't need to bring him up.
I'm just saying they could. The Colts could need a quarterback eventually.
Shut your mouth. The only other team that I could pitch, Titans or Giants. Those are the other options that realistically he could land with. There's not many. I really think that this Jets situation, I've already pitched Sam Darnold as him returning, and I think that it's too far gone for it to be worth his time to try and rebuild what was an awful first relationship. Yeah. It's not worth it. He needs to start fresh with a completely new team if he goes somewhere else. Justin Fields and the Jets is the best move. The other question, though, that you didn't answer, do you think he actually can have a career resurrection? Or am I just getting way too overhyped by the fact that he's this incredible athlete with a big arm that has been given just a really rough shake for his first 2 teams that he was with?
I think there is potential because there's so few dudes built like him in the NFL that he would have to land in literally a perfect scenario. Like he would have to go to the Rams. He would have to go to an actual team that would, Jared Goff done with the Lions, gone over to Detroit, like an actual contender, someone that has an offense, and the Jets should. But they don't, and I don't want to see Justin Fields get crushed by the Jets. I think he's great at the podium. He's just an all-around good dude. And seeing him go to New York, it would just be like seeing him shipping off for war. I can't watch him do that in the Jets. Could he have a career resurrection? Yes. Would it take a miracle? Also, yes. To land on a top 10 team. That's what he would need.
I just don't think it's completely fair to just automatically assume because a franchise's history has been so awful that they can't catch a little bit of fire if they try to do something different. I think that Aaron Glenn is one of the best head coaching hires that they've had in the last 20 years. It's been better than any other situation. It's better than Saleh, which was considered to be a great hire by them. It's better than Todd Bowles.
Yeah.
What other hire was better than Rex Ryan? I would argue.
Oh no, I'm
that thing crashed
a big
and
Rex
burned.
guy. It did crash and burn. It did. But also, Glenn's not an offensive guy, and maybe Justin Fields doesn't need an offensive guy, but it couldn't hurt to have the big man all over your quarterback. Additionally, if Justin Fields has been so great in the NFL, why do I keep on seeing that one throw versus Georgia? Why is that the only thing that I see when people are defending Justin Fields? Where it's, I
don't even know what you're talking about.
Ohio State versus Georgia in the CFP.
No, but like, when is this being used? This is being used. A college throw is being used currently to defend his potential?
Constantly on the timeline. Where's the Justin Fields Bears throws that make me think, wow, this guy just needs to find a spot that'll invest in him. He hasn't put enough out there, unfortunately.
This is my case for defending him because those college throws, they were real. The throws that he was able to make on the run, and then the ways that he was able to escape the pocket and use his legs in college, like it was exciting shit. He was very good. You get college, really juiced up watching him play and the things that he was able to do. The Bears was an awful situation, multiple head coaches. There was no way that thing was going to work out. And then he gets shoved out into this awkward, ugly spot because he was traded into it to end up in Pittsburgh. I don't think that it was fair to him to consider his capability based on what he was forced into in Pittsburgh, the awkwardness of dealing with one of the weirdest quarterbacks in NFL history in Russell Wilson, one of the weirdest coordinators in NFL history in Arthur Smith, and then a head coach who's been there for so long, you almost don't even know if he still has it or not, Mike Tomlin.
Ooh. Now you're treading a little bit of a line there with Tomlin. I think he's a fantastic coach.
Oh, I completely agree. I think he is a fantastic coach, but like we've gotten to this point where they keep getting knocked out of the first round.
I think he should have had a longer shot in Pittsburgh, a longer trial run to give himself more game film, more experience, but it didn't happen. So he's going to unfortunately have to go to a worse team than Pittsburgh and do more on a worse team that'll probably even amount to looking worse. It's a nasty situation that Fields is in. But also, he's not Jaden Daniels. He wasn't Jaden Daniels.
Obviously.
We watched him come into the league and not do the things. And that's an extreme. He's not Bo Nix from this year. He didn't put up a season that Bo Nix put in. He didn't. I would say Drake May put up a better rookie season than I saw out of any of the Justin Fields seasons so far. So comparing him to younger quarterbacks coming in the league, I'd rather just take my shot with a guy that I can mold from scratch. I'm not that in on it. I'm not in on him going to a bad team and expecting him to have a resurrection while I am rooting for it.
Well, I really love to remind people of this, of how much older Jane Daniels and Bo Nix are.
Oh, I love drafting old quarterbacks.
Jane Daniels is 24. Well, I think it's now, first of all, that is almost a must. Like taking Cam Ward is a better decision than people realize because he has been around for so long. These guys that have stuck around and have seen a lot of different bullets, you talk about all the time, like, oh, you need to get these guys exposure and reps. Well, how about you get the guys that have had the exposure and reps in the college game? You can't make up for that. But Jaden Daniels is 24 years old.
Yeah.
Justin Fields is 26 years old, I believe, currently, or he's going to be 26. There's not much of a difference in their age. And this past season, Justin Fields didn't get to play at all. So he's already being deprived of opportunities to start and to play. I'm just bringing this up to say that like there is still plenty of time, seeing what Sam Darnold did, for him to catch fire in that right spot. We had a couple people in the chat. Gavin pitched that he thinks he should go to Seattle to sit behind Geno Smith. I don't love that. I don't want him to sit. Nathan also pitched him to sit behind Tua in Miami. Again, I don't want him to sit. I would actually argue maybe he could start over Tua.
I'm so out on Tua right now that I would say Miami could be a viable fit for Justin Fields to see how the experiment goes.
Forever Royal brings up a really good point that the quarterbacks, I'm assuming that the rookie guys that we were talking about, except for Drake May, and better pieces around them.
Bo Nix.
Bo Nix had a pretty good.
He's thrown to Devon Vele.
Yeah, but he also was still throwing to Cortland Sutton, who's a pretty good receiver.
Mm-mm. He's good. He's not pretty good.
That's fair.
Come on. Bo Nix didn't have
Bo
Nix didn't have dick around him. And also, Daniels didn't have dick around. He had Terry McLaurin, a 36-year-old Zach Ertz, and maybe 56-year-old Jamison Crowder. He didn't have anyone to throw to.
I would argue that I'm trying to think here. Jaden Daniels and Bo Nix, not Drake May, had better offensive coordinators and coaches leading them. So that's the definite, clear, better situation. Justin Fields hasn't had that. He hasn't had that opportunity to develop. We'll end up seeing what ends up coming to fruition here. I'm a big Justin Fields truther.